Thank you for joining us. For those that are late joining, as I said, this session is being recorded and we will be providing copies of slides to the list of registrations after the session. My name is Simon Wilkins and I'm the Head of Operations for CUREator here at Brandon BioCatalyst. And we're delighted to be launching round 2. Feels very soon on the heels of the successful announcement of round 1 recipients. But we're very excited to be launching this round and inviting you to submit your applications. And on that note, this is really an opportunity to hear a bit more about what we're looking for and how the process works. Oops, gone through too many slides. It would be remiss at this point not to mention that we are on the land of the Wurundjeri and Boon Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. And that's where we are both working and presenting from today. And we pay our respects to elders, both past, present, and emerging. I would also like to extend our deepest respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples from all the nations of the land who are joining us today. As I've mentioned, this session is being recorded, and we do have a poll that we'll use at the end of the actual formal presentation just to guide the discussion around what we might talk about as well. But there is also the option to use the Q&A, and it's good to see a number of questions coming through on the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to those as part of the presentation. On to the next slide, and this is obviously a really important slide. I'm delighted to be back in full health after a week working from home with COVID, but it gives me great pleasure to introduce you all to the members of the team who've done a fantastic job in my absence with our launch of round 1 teams last week, but also who've been making sure that everything is ready for you all to start your applications now. So starting from the left is Patricia Rueda, who's joining us here today, Aaron DeBono, and behind me, Amanda Vaselia, who's the 3 of the team that make up the CUREator team. But of course, we work very closely with the experience and resources of the entire Brandon BioCatalyst team, and we're ably supported by them in terms of both providing guidance to projects and also in the selection process. On that note, I'm going to hand over to Aaron first, who's going to talk us through a little bit about the basis for what CUREator is and give you a sense of what we're looking for. And then each of the team have got a section to talk to that will guide you through how round 2 works, what we're looking for, and then at the end, we'll also have a little bit of guidance on the application process and a chance for Q&A. So on that note, over to you, Aaron.
So we're thrilled to be able to support CUREator. So CUREator is an initiative which has been supported by the Australian government through the Medical Research Future Fund. Basically, CUREator was set up to bridge a gap from early stage research, pushing projects to an opportunity in which they become more commercially attractive. CUREator, in essence, provides access to funding, and basically this funding is to be utilised by early stage research companies to push forward their projects towards commercial outcomes. CUREator is involved in providing commercial guidance to companies, utilising not only the access to our team, but the broader Brandon BioCatalyst network, and most importantly, the engagement of tech transfer officers and BD officers within the institutes and relevant research institutes. And basically, CUREator is here to de-risk projects. We are here to support early stage research in its riskiness, because for projects often to see commercial traction, companies and investors like to see that there is project traction before they invest. So here's the CUREator motto. CUREator provides a commercial grant and funding with the support of, through the support of an investor lens to make biomedical assets more investable. The way that CUREator aims to do this is to provide early stage research opportunities with non-dilutive capital. So this is in the form of a grant in which it, in essence, not being dilutive means that CUREator doesn't take any equity in the particular opportunity. Through the support of the CUREator team, we work with teams to look at projects and through the role of our independent investment review committee, look at projects in essence and trying to determine obvious go and no-go decision gates. This in essence helps to expedite deliverable outcomes, and I've already spoken to sort of the support that we provide through our commercial networks and experience of the team that I have here on hand. We also look to projects looking at particular investor relevant endpoints, obviously understanding the landscape of investment and also, obvious project endpoints. We look to ensure that these particular endpoints are incorporated into a project design so that projects inevitably reach a position in which they achieve a commercial inflection, and this hopefully will attract follow-on investment. So CUREator, as I mentioned, through the support of the Australian government, the MRFF, and now in round 2, also the support of the CSIRO, looks towards projects which have been carefully designed. They have clearly defined project deliverables and early go, no-go milestones, ensuring that these projects can be conducted on time, delivering key value adding and de-risking milestones during the grant period. We're proud to announce that CUREator has 3 different streams, and further details will be provided by my team following my discussion here. So the first is the preclinical stream. The preclinical stream, obviously in nature, funds preclinical opportunities and biomedical innovation projects with a commercial focus. We also have the clinical stream. The clinical stream supports clinical trial design and commencement activities for projects developing novel therapeutics and new uses of known drugs. And new to round 2 is our health security stream, which are projects focused on biomedical innovation in the interest of national health security, including medical countermeasures. I will now hand off to Amanda, who will continue the discussion and further elaborate on the different streams and the requirements for each stream.
Thanks, Aaron. Before I jump into each stream, I would like to point everyone to our EOI form, which is available online, and you'll get the link later on in this webinar. But really, the EOI form will have the questions and what we're looking for each specific project. But to jump into how much funding we're offering and for which stream, the first stream that I'll talk about today is the preclinical stream. So it's supported by MRFF, and it offers up to $500,000 of funding. And this funding is to support preclinical medical research or medical innovation projects that are based in Australia that have commercial potential. So with this, each project that is supported by CUREator will need to have really carefully designed project deliverables with really thought around the go, no-go milestones. And this is to ensure that they achieve a number of things, and it may be some of them and it may be all of them. So that includes de-risking an asset, confirming a proof of concept, working towards improving the attractiveness of the asset, and also the overall investability of the project. And really that with CUREator funding is where we want to see projects end up becoming more investable. So what would a project plan look like? It can include experiments such as proof of concept, mechanism of action studies, lead optimization, lead selection, and all the way through to validation activities. So with this, what we really want you to think about is how you can design your preclinical experiments to really tick off some of these points and make the opportunity more commercial. The next stream is the clinical stream. So there is up to $1.5 million available. This stream is also supported by the MRFF, and it's for the clinical development of novel drugs or novel uses for existing drugs with commercial potential. Really what project funding will be directed towards is supporting the design, commencement and or completion of particularly phase 1 and phase 2 clinical studies, given the amount of funding that's available. And this can include investigator-led and multi-center studies. particularly for those phase 1B and 2A and beyond studies, so focusing on the patient. They should be designed to validate safety, but also generate evidence of efficacy. And this can use both traditional measures of disease and or novel cutting-edge biomarkers and analysis. As Aaron mentioned, all the streams will be awarded funding through a competitive process, and this is decided by the independent CUREator Investment Review Committee. On to the next and final stream, and this is the health security stream. So this is a new stream that's supported by CSIRO, and there is up to $500,000 available. And this is projects that improve Australia's preparedness and responsiveness to human health threats. They can be at the preclinical or clinical stage, but really projects in this stream are different to the preclinical and clinical stream because they'll be focused on the development of therapies or other assets and activities that improve Australia's health security or address a known capability or capacity gap for national health security. That can include infectious disease resilience, preparedness and response, or manufacturing related to health security. As I mentioned earlier, on our Award Force platform where you submit your EOI, there are links to specific reports that will guide you as to whether your application is relevant to the health security stream. And namely, they are the DST Group 2017 report, a DISER Medical Products Priority Report, and a few MTP Connect reports, but all the links are available online. So in conjunction with the health security stream and also the funding from the MRFF, there are the opportunities to apply for joint funding, and this is with the preclinical or clinical stream and also with the health security stream. So funding of up to $1 million is available for a joint preclinical stream application or up to $2 million for a joint clinical stream application. However, with these applications, you really need to demonstrate clear commercial potential for these opportunities. So they need to tick the boxes of both what the health security stream is looking for, but also either the preclinical or clinical stream, depending on what you apply for. If you are unsure whether you're eligible for the joint funding, please do reach out to us here and we'll be able to have a conversation with you and help guide you to the right stream. In general, there are a few key concepts to sort of applying to CUREator. So the first one, in terms of eligibility, all proposed activity must be performed in Australia where possible. So think about this when you're putting your project plan together, because this will be assessed and looked at during the review process. You need exclusive rights to background IP. And for the preclinical, clinical and joint streams only, although anyone may apply, if you are successful, you must form a for-profit small to medium enterprise. So that is less than 200 employees, and that's a condition of funding. So if you are a researcher and you're thinking of applying, that's completely fine. It's really at the end where you need to do that activity. In terms of designing your project, we're looking for projects that are 1 to 2 years in duration. No longer than that. They may be shorter than a year, depending on what your plan is. They need to be milestone based with clear defined go, no go activities. And this is really to align with the funding, which I'll talk about in a minute. And it's also highly recommended to go out and seek opinion or advice from potential partners, or pharma or investors, that they are actually validating your activities or the commercial inflection point they will get to are what they are looking for. So in terms of funding, as I said, it's milestone based, so it'll be tranched. The funds are allocated to critical path experiments. So really all of this keeps talking about milestone, go, no go, really thinking about what you need to do to commercialize your asset. Funding that's leveraged will be highly regarded. And then we also are putting together some grant guidelines, which will have the full funding eligibility criteria, which will be able to tell you what you can and can't use the funding for. If you are successful, there are reporting requirements. These are quite streamlined and not meant to be onerous in terms of the formal written reports, and most of the management is done by a management review committee process. to summarize sort of the funding opportunities that we've talked about today, there are 3 core streams with 2 opportunities for joint funding as well. These slides will be made available, so I won't go through them in depth of what projects are supported, but as you can see, there's a variety of funding available from $500,000 up to $2 million, depending on the stream that you apply for. You can see what stream you need to form an SME for, and also that all streams require exclusive rights to background IP. So,
can I just make that clear? That means that the project itself or the company that is formed needs to have rights to the IP, not that CUREator or Brandon BioCatalyst is seeking rights to the IP from that company. That's all.
Great clarification, thank you. With that, I will now hand over to Patricia, who will talk about how to build a successful application.
Thank you, Amanda. So I guess this is the question in everybody's mind at the moment. How do I build an application that is going to be successful? So there are a few elements that will contribute to building a successful project. But there is also a clear take-home message here, and I wanted to start with that one, and that is that building the right team is essential, and that we try to represent here. The team will be the cornerstone to your success, not only to be awarded a grant from CUREator, but to the success of your commercial journey together. So the right team will need to have access to the diverse expertise that is related to your opportunity, starting, of course, with the scientific input. So all of the CUREator success stories are based in high quality, innovative science with commercial potential. And as we said before, part of that potential for commercial development relies on the ability to have access to the IP of your asset. But as important as this is not enough. The next question to ask the team is how you can use that science to address a specific problem or unmet medical need. So this is where having clinical input as part of your team is going to be essential. And we strongly encourage teams to make sure that they understand the problem that they want to address in detail. They can articulate the market opportunity that is related to their approach, and they can also describe how they plan to use their product in the clinic. So again, clinical input from that point of view is critical as part of the team. So once you answer the question of the problem you need to address, then the team will need to articulate how their approach is different to existing therapies, to the, for example, the current standard of care, but also how they differentiate from competitors. So every other product that is in preclinical, clinical development for the same target market. So basically, how the proposed approach addresses the limitations of other therapies. And here again, clinical input is critical, but also the commercial expertise of the team can guide the team in answering these questions. And definitely commercial expertise is critical for the next element here, which is building a clear, achievable plan as part of your project. As Amanda mentioned, the team will need to carefully design the key experiments of this project to reach the project deliverables that they need, and do it that in a fast-fail milestone form. So a good project here is a project that can identify the critical risks of your project early and kind of address those risks. So by the risk in your project, you end up with outcomes that will be more attractive to third-party investors. So again, engaging the commercial expertise here is going to be critical. So we strongly encourage teams to have conversations with your internal resources, your business development or tech transfer office, start these conversations. They can give you really valuable advice on how to achieve these things, but also they can put you in contact, if you haven't done that yet, with your potential investors. And as Amanda said, having validation from investors that the plan that you are building is the right plan will be really critical for us. So I guess the take-home message here is your team is essential. Great science is needed, but it's not enough. You need to build a path for that science to achieve commercial output, and make sure that you address an unmet needs in a novel and improved way. So I guess a good follow-up from this is the advice that we captured from around 1 hour this. So as you see here, a critical aspect for them was also around the team. Their advice was to build the right team from the beginning and make sure that all the expertise you need to deliver your project is in the team, and also make sure that your project has the right support. So again, engage with your internal resources early as part of the process. And you're going to need them to form a company later on anyway, if that's what your stream requires. So have those conversations early. Another piece of advice, really good one from one of our clinical stream awardees, was around the target markets. Think about the final product straight away. Who will use that product, in which way, and make sure that you build your project plan based on that final outcome that you want to achieve. And again, we hear about around 1 hour these advising about how to create a clear, achievable project plan. Again, providing commercial validation that the plan that you're building is the right one. It's really critical, not only for us, but also for your team, to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Focus on use the funds in addressing the key risks of your projects. Make sure that the activities are linked to the outcomes that are going to make your project more investable, and use that fund in an efficient way. And as Amanda said, any leverage funding will be highly rewarded as well. And we need you to be proactive even post-award, because this is just the beginning. If you get awarded this grant, there's a lot to do. We can help you with that, but we definitely need you on board. So with that, I just wanted to briefly discuss a little bit more around the application process. So round 2 is now open. So very briefly about the timelines. Applications opened last week. They'll be open until the 29th of August. Once the application close, those applications will be reviewed and will be forward to the committee for selection, and the selected applicants will be invited to submit a full application. This will happen Q3 this year. Once those applications again are submitted, they will go into the due diligence phase and again put forward to the committee for selection, and this will happen at the end of this year. And we're planning to announce the successful applicants by the beginning of next year and commence project activities then. So on that, again, the portal is open now. You can find the link there to our application portal. We're putting together a very detailed set of guidelines on how to apply, and all of the information we talked about today will be included in there. Those guidelines will be on our website. So we strongly encourage every applicant to go through those guidelines first. And if you still have any questions that you cannot answer there, then you can email us at info@CUREator.com.au, and we'll be on the other side to help you best you can. We're also planning state visits, so a roadshow that will happen at the end of this month, at the beginning of August. If you're interested in meeting with us, make sure that you check the link there on the screen, and that you can register your availability as well and your interests to meet with us. And again, key dates, round 2 applications are open. We'll be doing the roadshow late July, early August, and application will close on the 29th of August. On that, when you go to our portal, we encourage you to log in already, have a look. All of the applications need to go through this portal to be assessed. So you can already log in, have a look at the questions that we are asking, making sure that you engage with the right people from the beginning to be able to answer those questions, and you can build a successful application that way.